I got a text message the other day I wanted to tell you about. A colleague of mine who works at one of the big strategic firms texted me to ask if I'd be willing to talk to a young ophthalmologist who was newly in practice but was not happy and was thinking about working in industry. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to speak with him. And in the course of my conversation, he asked me about my personal history and how I had gotten involved working with industry. And it reminded me that the impetus for my career was really a fascination with how innovation happens. How does it occur that someone has a new idea about a treatment for eye disease or a way to help people see better without glasses, and somehow that then one day becomes a commercial product? I really wanted to get into the heart of that process and be there right at the forefront. And I'm really happy to say that I achieved that. And perhaps one of the best moments of my life was actually sitting at a bar in San Diego during the ASCRS meeting. And a friend of mine said, hey, I got a new idea. And he literally sketched it on a napkin. And that idea became a product, became a company, and is well on its way to getting to the market. But that transition from the napkin at the bar to the market is a long and tortured path that leads through the world of clinical research. And because of the requirement that we have to prove that our ideas actually help people and don't hurt them, in other words, they're safe and effective, we rely on clinical research to make that case, to get the approval that we need from the regulatory authorities and allow us to get these devices into doctors' hands and treat patients. So I became deeply involved in that world of clinical research. I learned how to build a research department. I learned the ins and outs of good clinical practice. I got to know the people working at FDA and what they're looking for in terms of solid, valid scientific evidence. And as I did that, I realized that I had really changed my practice. I was no longer just seeing patients on a day-to-day basis and providing them with what was available today. I was still seeing patients, but I was telling them about exciting research projects that they could get involved in and be some of the first people on the planet to receive new and exciting devices, whether that was a multifocal intraocular lens or a new kind of stent to reduce their intraocular pressure and control their glaucoma, or something to alleviate their dry eye or reduce the burden of their macular degeneration. So many new ideas and so much research, and this became a really exciting part of what I did, and I love it. I love helping people in that way with stuff that's brand new, that can't be found anywhere else, and it actually became a competitive advantage for my practice. And this led me to realize that a lot of the economic pressure that cataract and refractive practices are under these days can actually be alleviated in a way that you may not have thought about, which is getting involved in clinical research. Now, it's not trivial. It requires dedication, and it really requires some passion, because it's not going to be easy to set it up and get it going. But there's lots of help. We've never had more help than we do now from clinical research organizations and from sponsors who are looking for sites that can provide the enrollment that they need and provide the data that they need to get their products approved. That data is incredibly valuable. And if you become a principal investigator and your practice becomes a clinical research site, it will not only enhance your satisfaction and improve the lives of your patients, it will also contribute significantly to your top line and generate more revenue from a source you really may not have thought about: clinical research. So think about it. Do you have an interest in innovation? Do you have an idea for a new device or a drug that could benefit patients? Are you interested in improving the art and science of ophthalmology? I think you may find the answer is yes to at least 2 out of 3 of those questions. And if it is, you should consider incorporating clinical research into your clinical practice. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.